Welcome to this explainer. I am absolutely thrilled to have you here today because, well, we're jumping headfirst into a true historical detective story. If you're someone who loves figuring out how the crazy puzzle pieces of our past fit together, you are in the exact right place. Today, we're looking at an artifact that completely, totally shatters our accepted timeline of human advancement. We're talking about a device so incredibly advanced and so mathematically complex that according to every conventional history book out there, it simply shouldn't exist. Okay, let's dive into this. I want you to imagine, just for a second, diving deep into the stunning blue waters of the Mediterranean Sea. You're searching for treasure, sweeping the ocean floor, hoping to find some amazing relic of a bygone era. But instead of just finding the expected gold or marble, you discover a mind-bending historical paradox, a device over 2,000 years old that completely challenges everything we thought we knew about what ancient civilizations were capable of. It begs a massive, earth-shattering question. What if our understanding of ancient history is entirely wrong?
Part 1. The Impossible Discovery.
Part 2. The Shipwreck of 1900.
So our story officially kicks off in the year 1900. A group of Greek sponge divers were exploring the waters near this small, unassuming island called Antikythera when they stumbled upon an ancient Roman shipwreck. It was resting silently, exactly 150 feet below the surface. And this brilliantly illustrates just how wild this was. We really have to appreciate what that depth means. These divers were operating at the dawn of the 20th century. They were wearing these heavy canvas suits and massive copper helmets, completely reliant on a hand-pumped air hose going all the way up to the surface. No modern scuba gear. Reaching a wreck at 150 feet down was an incredibly dangerous, monumental task. The crushing pressure, the constant risk of decompression sickness, it was all ever present. But the sheer magnitude of what they uncovered, it made that massive risk entirely worth it.
Because this ship was absolutely packed with incredible, glittering treasures. We're talking pristine, life-sized marble and bronze statues that had just been resting in the dark for millennia. There was intricate gold jewelry, ancient glassware, thousands of coins, you name it. It was the discovery of a lifetime, a massive haul of ancient wealth that immediately caught the attention of the entire archaeological world. But, and here's the crazy part, the single most important item on that ship didn't shine or sparkle at all. In fact, surrounded by all of this immense beauty and obvious value, it was incredibly easy to just completely overlook.
Part 3. The Broken Rock.
Amidst all the excitement of the gold and the marble, there was this suspenseful silence surrounding one utterly mundane-looking object. It was initially described as just a strange lump of corroded bronze and wood, and at first, absolutely nobody paid much attention to it. I mean, when you're pulling up exquisite ancient jewelry and perfectly preserved weapons, a heavily corroded greenish lump covered in 2,000 years of sea crust just doesn't command the room, right? To the naked eye, it looked like nothing more than a broken rock pulled from the seafloor, maybe just a meaningless fragment of the ship's hull.
Now, what's really interesting about this is the sheer contrast between expectation and reality. For months, this artifact just sat in a museum courtyard in Athens, completely ignored, while all the glamorous finds were cleaned and cataloged. But as it dried out from being underwater for thousands of years, the wood and calcified exterior began to shrink and physically cracked open. And when it did, a Greek archaeologist named Valerios Stais noticed something sticking out of the rock that left scientists completely unable to believe their eyes. Hidden inside that rough, rocky exterior were dozens of tiny, precisely crafted bronze gears. Scientists of the era had never, ever seen anything like it from the ancient world. Literally no way.
Part 4. A Machine Out of Time.
Researchers quickly realized this was no ordinary artifact. This was a wildly complex machine containing more than 30 precisely crafted gears, all designed to work in perfect synchronization inside a wooden box. And they weren't just for show. By turning a small hand crank on the side, these gears actually tracked the cycles of the solar system with staggering accuracy. The mechanism featured a front dial that tracked the Greek zodiac and the Egyptian calendar. On the back, it had dials that mapped the 19-year Metonic cycle of the moon and the 18-year Saros cycle which, get this, actually predicted solar and lunar eclipses down to the hour, including the color of the eclipse. It even had a dial to track the 4-year cycle of the ancient Olympic Games. But honestly, perhaps the most mind-blowing thing of all, the creators used the highly advanced pin and slot mechanism to account for the lunar anomaly. That's the fact that the moon appears to move faster in the sky when it's closer to the Earth in its elliptical orbit. The teeth of these bronze gears were cut with such exactness to calculate these prime number ratios, it literally rewrites the rulebook on ancient engineering.
The sheer complexity of these tiny, interlocking bronze gears led modern historians and scientists to give this artifact a massive, history-defying title: the world's first computer. Just think about the weight of that statement for a second. An analog computer uses continuous physical variables, like the rotation of those gears, to process input and output data. The ancient Greeks could input a specific date by turning the crank, and the machine would physically calculate and output the exact astronomical positions of the sun, moon, and planets. A mechanical computer processing complex astronomical and mathematical data, made of bronze, sitting at the bottom of the ocean, built over 2 millennia ago, it's just wild.
So the crucial point is why historians were so utterly shocked by this. You just have to look at the timeline of human technology. Over 2,000 years ago, ancient Greece somehow possessed this wildly complex gear system. But after the shipwreck that sank the Antikythera Mechanism, we enter this massive, lost era, a gap of more than 1,000 years where absolutely no similar technology exists anywhere in the historical record. The knowledge simply vanished. It isn't until medieval Europe, over a millennium later in the 14th century, that complex clockwork machines and astronomical clocks with similar gear systems finally reappear. Historians firmly believed technology like the Antikythera Mechanism simply wasn't possible back in the ancient world because there was no evolutionary stepping stone leading up to it and nothing following it for over 1,000 years.
Let's move to and see how this builds, because despite all the accepted timelines and all the history textbooks, there it was, waiting silently beneath the sea for over 2,000 years, serving as undeniable proof that ancient civilizations were far more advanced than we ever dared to imagine. It forces us to completely rethink human capability. It shows us that the march of technological progress isn't always a straight line upward, right? Sometimes incredibly profound knowledge can be achieved and then completely lost to time and the depths of the ocean. Which leaves us with a lingering, fascinating question. Why does the Antikythera Mechanism continue to puzzle experts more than a century after its discovery? Even today, using cutting-edge microfocus X-rays and high-resolution 3D scanning, this device holds on to many of its secrets. We still don't know exactly who built it or if there were others like it. It continues to challenge us to look closer at our past with an open mind. Because if a 2,000-year-old bronze computer can hide at the bottom of the ocean for millennia, what else is out there, just waiting to be found?